Hollywood is regarded as a center of liberalism and progressive thinking in the modern period, especially since Tinsel Town makes everyone feel they can be anyone they want to be. As a result, there are diverse roles in movies, including LGBTQ+ representation. I bet most of you think that it has always been this colorful in Hollywood, that even before it was safe to come out of the closet. And while this may have been true in certain groups, where the open secrets of celebrities who were not typically straight were well known and tolerated, the sad reality is a bigger portion of Hollywood before criticizes members of the community. While the industry itself may have been supportive of LGBTQ+ people, the country was not. As a result, the projects Hollywood produced throughout the first several decades had to be adapted to the country's conservative beliefs. Otherwise, they would not have gotten off the ground. Sadly, most LGBTQ+ persons had to remain closeted for fear that if they revealed their real sexual orientation, the general public would reject them and they would lose their jobs. In this video, we look at a few homosexual celebrities from the past who were left with no choice but to stay in the closet. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. Cary Grant was one of the best leading men of his day. His suave attitude and charisma endeared him to people all over the world. Nevertheless, it is widely assumed that he was not straight. Yes, he had relationships with women and was married 5 times in his life, but he also lived with actor Randolph Scott for around 12 years. This alone was enough to trigger suspicion among fans. While the two had always regarded their close relationship as nothing but friendly and referred to their flat as a bachelor pad, it was an open secret in Hollywood that they were also lovers. Cary's bisexuality was later discussed in a number of books, notably the 2004 book Cary Grant, Grant's Secret Sixth Marriage, which detailed his relationship with Randolph. A photographer named Jerome Zerby even spent many months photographing the couple and subsequently discussing their involvement in Hollywood's LGBTQ+ culture. While Carrie constantly denied the accusations, Randolph didn't get the memo to admit to his close pals that they were genuine and were in fact in a relationship. However, neither said anything to the public or the press for fear of jeopardizing their jobs. Montgomery Clift. A journalist once asked Montgomery Clift if he had any hobbies, to which the actor replied, "Yes, women." However, this cheeky comment did not correspond to Montgomery's true demeanor. Throughout his career, he was rarely considered a womanizer, and he was rarely seen with Hollywood eye candy or in a meaningful relationship with a woman. Early on, he always claimed that it was because he was so careful about the women he dated. However, when questioned about it, he ultimately admitted that he preferred being alone over being with a girlfriend. To prove his point, he even penned an article for a local newspaper called "I Like It Lonely." However, after Montgomery died, it was found out that he was gay. This information was not formally released until the 1970s, when biographers of the actor divulged it. They were granted permission by Montgomery's close friends, who believed it couldn't affect him after his death. Indeed, he swiftly rose to prominence as a homosexual icon. But while he was alive, Montgomery was terrified that it would be discovered. According to reports, he was afraid of simply meeting effeminate people for fear of ruining his profession. That's how harsh old Hollywood was. There was also a sequence in the film The Search where he used the word "dear" at random while speaking to a boy. And guess what the actor did? He grew so agitated by the decision that he asked that the director let him reshoot the sequence. Merv Griffin. Merv Griffin is another icon who was left with no choice but to remain in the closet for the rest of his life. His sexual orientation, however, was a well-known open secret. It definitely made sense that Merv would try to suppress this aspect of himself in the early stages of his career when it was not widely acknowledged on a national and worldwide basis. But still, many people were surprised by his decision to maintain the facade in his final years, mainly because being out was much more accepted at the time. In addition, he had already established himself in Hollywood as a renowned producer, game show producer, and executive. Thus, it's very unlikely that someone would still go after him and ruin what he had built. Merv. And that was absolutely not discussed with Merv himself. Merv's legacy does not appear to have changed significantly as he aged. According to writer Ray Richmond, who worked on the Merv Griffin program in the mid-1980s, Merv's sexual orientation was quite generally known on the program. But Richmond said that, while it was understood, it was not discussed, and that was absolutely not discussed with Merv himself. Sadly, he had to face lawsuits at the end of his career. In 1991, Merv was sued for sexual harassment by Denny Terrio, the presenter of Dance Fever. He was also sued for palimony money by his aide, Brent Plott. While both actions were dismissed by judges, they did convey a message to the general public that Merv was perhaps associated with these men. Whenever Merv was asked directly about his sexuality, he would always say that his private life was his own and no one else's business. Of course, he was correct about it. However, it's unfortunate that Merv was unable to live freely at any point during his successful career. Jim Nabors. Jim Nabors had a long and successful career as an actor, but he was most remembered for his role as Gomer Pyle on The Andy Griffith Show, and then on Gomer Pyle, USMC. Throughout his time on film, he kept his sexual orientation away from the public. But not for crazy reasons, because just like the other actors in this list, he believed it would have a detrimental impact on his career. However, in 2013, he married his long-term partner, Stan Cadwallader. They'd been together for about 4 decades by that time. While he never made his relationship public, Jim claims he was always upfront and honest with everyone he worked with and knew. He stated that he was never ashamed of who he was, but he did not necessarily see the benefit in informing the wider population. However, after gay marriage was legalized and society grew more accepting of homosexual partnerships, Jim was keen to express his feelings for his spouse. He also stated that he had known he was gay since he was a youngster and had always been proud of his identity. Cesar Romero. Cesar, a Cuban-American actor, had many ladies swooning with his dashing appearance, towering body, and gorgeous features. Just in case you don't know him, he was possibly most known for playing the Joker in the first Batman film. However, he also played a sophisticated leading man in films with starlets such as Carole Lombard and Marlene Dietrich. However, Cesar is said to have been homosexual in secret. Like Jim Nabors, he appears to have come out to his Hollywood friends and associates. As previously said, the town of Hollywood was far more welcoming to LGBTQ+ persons, even if they would not have lengthy careers if they were out of the closet. Luckily, many stars like Cesar discovered a way to find the balance between being themselves in town and on set while keeping their career afloat. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson is possibly the most well-known Hollywood legend who took his entire life to come out. The actor was the quintessential handsome male star during Hollywood's golden age, a character that was undoubtedly based on his claimed heterosexuality. However, Rock was secretly homosexual. And as expected, because he was such a famous star, the press and tabloids were always looking for information about him, so he battled tooth and nail to keep them from learning anything about his personal life. Unfortunately, a tabloid called Confidential figured out his secret. They were about to publish a story exposing him, but Rock responded by swiftly marrying his aide, Phyllis Gates. Everyone in Hollywood knew it wasn't a real marriage, but it helped keep the public from finding out who he truly was. Surprisingly, or maybe not, Phyllis was completely aware that Rock was gay, and the marriage quickly broke apart. The actor then spent years in a relationship with a stockbroker called Lee Garlington. Obviously, this list barely scratches the surface of the numerous stars who had to conceal their identities during the early years of Hollywood. Thankfully, we live in a time where there is less stigma associated with being a part of the LGBTQ+ community, and hopefully, we will soon reach an age where none of this matters and everyone can be themselves. How about you? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give a like and subscribe for more stories from history.